Hello and welcome to the 250, the podcast where we stand around in a circle like a bunch of jackasses. With me as always is my co-host Jonathan. How are you, Jonathan?
I am just swell, Douglas. How are you?
Just swell.
Only just swell.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I'm at the bottom threshold of swell. Don't talk over me. Sorry.
The intro here. What do you want me to... Okay, I'll just...
Continue.
Oh, sorry, you wanted me to continue.
If this is your first time tuning to the 250, we've taken a step...
I do it!
We've taken a snapshot of IMDb's top 250 movies of all time as of January 2020 and begun watching them from number 250 through to number 1. In this podcast, I discuss our opinions, thoughts, and reactions to the movies within. Today's movie, number 248, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, God. Okay, well, can I read the next bit then?
Yeah, you read the summary.
All right, fine. A mysterious stone from an ancient alien empire thrusts ex-Earthling Peter Quill and his band of intergalactic misfits into a fight for survival from a looming spacefaring threat. Guardians of the Galaxy is a film about moving on and finding family in the most unlikely of places.
Sorry, I just got to cool down from that terrible intro. Never...
Just cool those jets.
Never give off the impression that you know what you're doing. And go...
We don't plan anything in here.
Low expectations, baby.
Yeah, that's it. So this film was directed by James Gunn, written by James Gunn and Nicole Perlman. James Gunn is obviously known for Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, movie 43, and for, better or for worse. And Super, you've written that in here, John. I have no idea what Super is. Do you want to enlighten me on that?
It's another one of your, superheroes in the real world films.
So, Watchmen-esque?
Yeah, I think it's a bit more comedy-ish. I wrote in Super in Google, and it sent me to the Australian Tax Office. That's not helpful.
Outstanding. Is it a film?
It is a film from 2010. Oh, it's the one with Dwight.
Oh, yeah, Rainn Wilson, right? Yeah.
And Ellen Page.
Oh, wow.
Which I gather was pretty good.
Huh.
He's such a mixed bag. Guardians 2, I gather, was okay. Super, I think, was more of a cult response. Movie 43, I haven't watched it, but I have watched a bunch of reviews, and I'm pretty sure it's the worst film that's ever been created.
It's a bit of a ride, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. I'd be interested to see Super now that I'm just taking a brief skim over the wiki. Upon release, Super received generally mixed reviews from critics and only grossed about $593,000 against a budget of $2.5 million.
Ooh, that's rough.
Making it Gunn's lowest grossing film.
Yikes.
So, ooh, that's a bit of a yikes.
That's never He did movie 43, and Super is his
lowest grossing film.
Yeah, that sucks.
But anyway,
we got old Nicole as well. She did.
Nicole Perlman.
She wrote for Detective Pikachu, Captain Marvel, and The Slows, which is a short film that I actually couldn't find much info on, but seemed interesting.
Right.
And of course, our original concept was from Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, who wrote the original comics.
Yeah. Have you read any of the comics?
I have not.
Have you read any Marvel comics at all, or
the only comic I read in any length is the newest Harley Quinn one?
Gotcha.
But I don't know.
The one that's supposed to be leading into the Childs of Prey or whatever it is, the one that the movie that's coming out with Margot
it was
Robbie,
the New 52 one, so it's maybe 3 or 4 years old now.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But that was really good. I don't know. Comics are fine. I'm busy doing other things.
Yeah.
Making podcasts.
There's so many other forms of written literature that I feel like I need to read, and I'm kind of trying to smash out books at the moment more than comics, I guess. But I've read some comics in my time.
To the level of
graphic novels,
books with images in them.
Yeah, no, I've picked up a comic book or two in my time. I'm a big Spider-Man fan myself. If you were to ask me who my favorite superhero is, it would unquestionably be Spider-Man. So I'm happy that we are watching a Spider-Man film later on in the 250.
Oh, I didn't realize that actually. In
the form of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, right, okay, that's right.
Yeah, very happy that that's in the 250. Thoughts? What do you got on Guardians of the Galaxy? What'd you think?
So I think we both watched this before, correct?
Yes, this is probably my 5th or 6th time seeing it.
Yeah,
so.
okay. I think this is probably only my 2nd time watching it, actually. Not that I had an issue with it the first time I watched it. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to become a broken record with this, but I enjoyed this film a lot as well. It's probably, I was kind of sitting down and thinking about Marvel films, and it's got to be top 3 for me, definitely.
Wow. Okay.
And I think that's just because retroactively, or at least partly, that's because retroactively there's like a lot of, or I have like a lot of disinterest in the whole, the cinematic universe. I kind of got a bit tired
the
after a
overarching
while.
plot, yeah.
And this really separates itself as far from that as possible.
Yeah.
They do tie it back into Thanos and whatever, but they do make some big spiel about the Infinity Stone being
there is a lot of stuff that James Gunn said fit more for the MCU more than it did Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right, okay.
There was stuff that I think Kevin Feige obviously wanted included in this film in order for it to continue the interweaving thread that is the MCU, in the the ultimate end game being Endgame. I think James Gunn kind of, it's not that he had to put them in there, it's just that
it's just they'd fire him if they didn't.
Yeah, exactly. They did for like those 5 seconds until the internet had a fucking lashback, and now he's directing the 3rd one. I also enjoy this movie.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's so, because the other Avengers films are pretty good. They do a really good job with them of kind of pulling everything together. Original Iron Man, pretty good as well. What else do I like from the Marvel series? Thor Ragnarok, which is actually not on the list, but is on our bonus list. So we'll probably get around to that at some point.
Spider-Man 3.
That's
my
not
favorite Marvel movie.
That's not officially it's a Sony film.
Shit.
A lot of them.
I was just hoping I could sneak it past you.
Yeah, no.
And you're like, yeah.
And it kind of holds itself above those films because you can really just sit down and watch this, and for all you care, it's completely separated from this. It's just a standalone film. It does the best job of being standalone, apart from Iron Man. But obviously that's because it was, I guess, technically the second film. It's basically the first film in the franchise. So it's got that going for it. There is. The humor in it is amazing.
Yeah, really outstanding writing.
But we'll go more into depth because it's not just because I find it funny. I think the way that it's kind of written, the whole thing is written, is very, very clever. So, yeah, I could easily watch it again, and I probably will watch it again. I find it unlikely that I'm going to watch the large majority of the Marvel films again, but I will probably watch this one again at some point.
Yeah.
So, a very, very good film. Good time. Excellent time.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Put down Thor 2. Don't watch that. Stop.
For Thor Dark World?
Ugh.
Yoof.
Yikes.
I still love that movie is actually integral to stuff that happens in Infinity War and Endgame and stuff like that.
It's one of the most integral films to the plot points of that.
Because it has one of the key Infinity Stones in it and everything. It's fucking phenomenal. And they have to come back to it in Endgame as well. Anyway. Keeping on track with Guardians of the Galaxy, yes, I really enjoy this film. I love the cast. The cast is perfectly cast. I think everyone meets their characteristics perfectly. Everyone brings to the table all of their own quirks and characteristics, which is really good. Vin Diesel as Groot, he brings a very honest and optimistic performance. Zoe Saldana, having already got Avatar underneath her belt, she's kind of getting down with playing alien characters, I guess. And she does very well as Gamora.
The aliens are not much of a stretch in this film, except for Groot.
Yeah.
They're just people with skin paint on.
Bradley Cooper as Rocket, fucking phenomenal. I'm so in love with that furry little bastard. He's my gorgeous boy. And Chris Pratt, I think
can't go wrong.
Chris. He really does make the character of Peter Quill. I really think that if Chris Pratt wasn't cast as Peter Quill, we would have a completely different Star-Lord. And
Yeah,
I think
Chris Pratt is to Guardians of the Galaxy what Ryan Reynolds is to Deadpool. Like,
absolutely. He brings so much to the table, and he's obviously very passionate about the character. And I believe in the casting process, James Gunn didn't even want to see Chris Pratt for the role. But there was an advisor that managed to get them both in the same room. And then allegedly, within 30 seconds of Chris Pratt reading for Quill, James Gunn knew that was the man. He was the one that was going to carry the mantle. So,
I mean, he's pretty good. Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, obviously they pull it together in a amazing fashion. A very good space opera. Obviously, it's not on a Star Wars kind of level.
Fuck Star Wars. Watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
But it's if you're looking for Star Wars with more of a humory kind of romp, Guardians of the Galaxy will fit that bill, I think. Yeah, it's just a good adventure, good characters, good cast, good cinematography, good soundtrack, really good soundtrack. Not just the mixtape, but the Bates, Tyler Bates is the composer of this film, as well as a couple of other of Gunn's films, including Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, he does a really good job of kind of interweaving those moments between the mixtape and the action, if you will. Very, very Marvel-y, lots of, brass and string and, you must feel this emotion in this point in time. But there were a couple of tracks in there where I was like, ooh, I'd actually like to listen to that on its own. I won't say anything for fear of giving a spoiler, but really, really nice. As a whole, as a collective, as a product.
Oh,
yummo.
That's not optimal to call it, like optimistic to call it a product. That seems very derisive. But
I
don't know.
Cut it out.
Good. Yep. Kill it.
Thank you for tuning into the TwoFiveOh.
So yeah, it's been nice having you, everybody. We will see you next week.
All
right. So I guess spoiler time.
Yep. Air horn.
If you don't, air horn. If you don't, watch the film before the spoiler, then I will be very angry.
He's going to write a sternly worded email.
I'm going to write a sternly worded email to the editor, who is me, of course.
Oh. And then you just go with this endless paradox of you sending yourself an email, and then you get like, budung, and you're like, who's this from? And then you're like, this guy, I can't believe he started.
It happens so long that I forget whether I'm trying to play the editor or the disgruntled person, and then it's just it's just a horrible.
That could be
mix-up.
a good film. I like that. Can we? We've patented this idea.
Yep.
No one can steal it.
Yep. Rights registered. 250 Limited
at
gmail.com.
Gmail.com. Spoiler time. Let's go.
So, I guess we'll just start from the top. The old opening is
the old
quite
film.
nice.
Yep.
Marvel just jumps straight into it. There's no like opening credits or anything. I think the opening scene is like 3 minutes.
Yeah. And then you get the Marvel fanfare, and then you're off. So.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, Guardians of the Galaxy, and now you are with them, the Guardians. There's...
Actually, can we just... there's a bit at the beginning there that I just wanted to quickly touch on.
Hit me with it.
I never got why Peter doesn't take her hand. I never understood that.
I think it's just like childish fear or something. Or
I guess. Like, if he takes her hand, then that's him admitting that she's dying?
Something like that.
Which
would tie back into... So actually, sorry, I should have opened with this. The film is... There's two big themes. Fuck all that story structure shit. Throw that out. Douglas, delete it from the notes. No, I don't want to look at any... No, don't do it. The film is largely about, or I guess the two big takeaways, it's a big film about fighting grief.
Yes.
And it's also a film, it's a very anti-Marvel film. It's, my thoughts are Guardians of the Galaxy walked so that Deadpool could run.
Yeah.
Except that I kind of think the Guardians did it better. There's Deadpool is just openly fourth wall breaking. That's the joke. The joke is that he breaks the fourth wall. Whereas this is, you've got a character that's so cocky that he can be a Deadpool without
having to break the fourth wall.
Haha, wink at camera.
Yeah. Without it being like an episode of The Office. Yeah.
So yeah, you've got Rocket, who is just, he does it constantly. He's got there's the scene where they all stand up and it's like very emotional. And then what does he say again?
I'm standing now, okay? You happy? We're all standing around in a circle like a bunch of jackasses.
And
I would like to add that the standing around in a circle like a bunch of jackasses, that was improv by Sean Gunn, who's the on-set actor and brother of James Gunn. The on-set actor for Raccoon. So he's like the stand-in for the actors on set. And he improvised that, we're standing around in a circle like a bunch of jackasses. And then they got Bradley Cooper to record that. And
that's so good. So Rocket has that bit where he's frustrated and he's kicking the grass. And he says, "You're making me beat up grass," which is a little...
it's absurd. Kind of
a smidge over the top, but it's like totally, once again, him like commenting on this, like, it's not a trope, but it's like a repeated thing that happens in films like this, where someone gets like fed up and they start punching stuff, even though it's fucking stupid. Yeah. There's the bit where they're doing like that cool slow motion walk, and they all like kind of line up to walk down the corridor, and then Rocket's just like sitting there like adjusting his like the crotch.
Gamora's yawning.
Yeah. There's a bit where Nebula is like, "I'm gonna have a big monologue," and then she just gets fucking shot in the face,
blasted,
like mid monologue, which I've seen it before and it made me laugh again. It's not.
There's a lot of moments where, as I said, this is the 6th time-ish I've seen it, and there's still like, I was still laughing my ass off at a lot of the jokes, which is pretty good credit to the writing and everything. Absolutely.
There's all this foul language, which is wonderful.
Yeah, that was one of my notes. Was I love that they let them swear. I think that's one of the best things for these characters. If you censored them, it would have felt censored, if that makes any sense. Like, you can get the vibe that they would have wanted to go from little bit extra, but Mickey Mouse can't say the bad one, so you got to cut that. But yeah, I was really happy to see some batshit crazy and bitch. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, my favorite line is right at the end where they're like, "You said it yourself, bitch," where the guy is the
galaxy. Yeah.
That's perfect. You compare it to like how like toned down a lot of the other films are. I was like,
absolutely, yeah.
I think Drax calls Gamora a green whore.
Green whore, yes, yeah. I only caught that this time around. I was like, whoa, Drax!
That seemed a little over the top.
Yeah.
But all right. And I also liked how Drax is this character, because he's like completely literal. It means they can say things like, okay, so when they first get out of the ship, he says, "I can barely see," as they get out. And if someone was like, someone turns a light on. If someone did that in one of the other Marvel films, it'd be like, that's not worth commenting on, dude. But he's completely literal. He just says whatever comes to his mind.
There's no filter. He just, whatever is actually happening, he will express that it is happening.
So he basically gets to act as like almost like a narrator of the environment.
Yeah.
In a couple of spots, which is really, really clever. It's
when they're in the
probably
prison
not
and
intentional.
We're up in the tower and Drax is wish to free ourselves from this earthly coil, this earthly confinement. So good. Such good writing for Drax. And they definitely recognize that in this film, and then they give him so much more comedy time in the second one.
Okay.
They give him so much more of the one-liner quippy kind of bits, for better or for worse. But I love Drax's intensity in this film. There's a lot of... I think you were touching on it before. One of the themes of this film is that they're all losers. They've all lost something.
Yeah.
And the somber kind of tendencies to all of these characters isn't lost amongst all of the humor and the gaffes and guffaws and all of that. There's still that underlying, they are all quite fucking sad.
Yeah.
Gamora's lost her family, Drax has lost his family, Peter Quill has lost his, Rocket is angry,
just kind of,
demented
he's like
little
torn
creature.
Up about trying to work out his place in the universe.
Yeah, and just, acknowledging that he's a little mongrel and everyone calls him that, and he is the only version of himself, and that's a hard gig. And then you've just got Groot, who is just the most optimistic, sweet, kind little boy ever. And I
love the shot at the start when Gamora cuts his arms off, and he's just kind of standing there like
he's kicking his arm. He's like,
he's just kind of like looking around, and like he doesn't seem distressed. She like cuts his arms off and then like stabs him in the stomach as if like you did that to like a normal person, they'd be pretty bit up, but he's just kind of stunned. It's like, hilarious.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to work with the characters of all the other. The characters of the characters, with their backstories and stuff. So I kind of, guy could give or take Groot, but he is a good comedy relief character. They're all kind of comedy relief characters, but he's the C-3PO kind of deal.
Yeah, but there is only so much you can actually do with Groot, I guess. You can't exactly have him give a long exposition because he's...
Exactly.
Vocabularistics are down to I and am and Groot, specifically in that order. So, I get where you're coming from. Groot is a tough one to actually give more of a backstory, but yeah, for the rest of them, you do get that nice level of I understand where these characters have all come from, why they're all together, and why it makes sense for them all to be together.
Yeah, and it's all they're all kind of handling a pretty different type of grief as well. I also appreciated, as far as I can tell, the film wasn't doing the like classic 5 stages of grief metaphor.
Yeah, no, I wasn't vibing that, so...
Which is fine. It's fine. It's fine. I like Annihilation. That's a good movie. But, it's like well-treaded ground. Just like, the characters are a metaphor for fucking the 5 stages of grief.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And it gives them an obvious, upward movement throughout the film.
Yeah.
And they also... they don't get over their grief at the end. They just learn how to cope with it to some degree. To
deal. Yeah.
So it's kind of very cool.
And they all kind of lean on each other, I think, is the end target.
The message is that move on, fuck all those dead people. Just find some friends.
Yeah. I did the bit where they were like, we've evacuated the city, like right before the fucking massive starship crashes down on the city. I was like, well, okay, you had to say that, didn't you? So then you didn't get some jackass emailing James Gunn like, yeah, but what about all the collateral damage? Is there going to be a civil war on fucking Xandar? Captain America versus Guardians of the Galaxy? Let's go.
Fucking Civil War.
Yeah.
That's actually, I guess I'll just talk about it. I don't know. I gotta kind of think more about my views on this, but I get so fucking bored every time. It's because I've only watched about half of Civil War, but I've watched the airport tarmac combat scene.
And right. So the bit where they introduce Spidey.
They all line up. And then they all just run at each other and fight in the airport. And I'm like, as soon as that happens, I'm like, I'm so fucking bored. I don't care. This is...
Right, you completely turn off of that shit.
It totally looks like... This is just like visual fluff. This is to show how cool the characters are. This is not fucking like anything interesting.
It's fan service.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a whole bunch of people who have read the comics for years and years and years, and they've wanted to see all of these people on screen since they were kids, and seeing them all charge at each other with climactic music and all battling each other because they are all good guys, quote unquote. Seeing them all duke it out is... I don't know. I thought it was cool.
I don't care. I just switch off. But and that's obviously I wanted to tie that back into. I feel like that's a thing that happens a lot in Marvel films, and I just completely turn off.
You switch off.
So and a lot of them, it's not a massive issue, especially the origin film. There's normally only one-on-one fights or like one-on-two or something, and this film is mostly pretty good for that. There's generally only 1 or 2 people fighting, except like near the end. So I wasn't too dumb with that, but I did get to the end. They're like when they're all fighting inside the ship, I was like, I'm not interested. Whatever. I'm gonna look at I'm gonna look at the background.
Why do you get disinterested? Is it because there's no emotional? You perceive there to be no emotional any emotional need for the fight.
There's no threat or something, because it's like when you have a big fight like that, if you have a good one-on-one fight, you can kind of communicate things like, oh, this one character is like starting to get beaten down, and you can see it's kind of tracking towards one person winning, or they might like get the upper hand because of something else that's unforeseen. You can do that very well. When you have like 4 people fighting in parallel, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna wait for 5 minutes. One person's gonna punch one person into a giant rotating industrial fan, and then someone's gonna get kicked into the path of a moving car, and then they're gonna bash some people's brains in, and blah 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 blah.
Right, so it's just predictable for you, is where you.
And then the interesting stuff happens at the end. It's like, okay, now, you know, someone is mortally wounded, or they succeed, or, you know, whatever. It's just fluff on the inside. A lot of the time, it might just be, I don't know. I might just be being a whingy little bastard. I'm not sure.
Nah, I can see where you're coming from. So, like, just the predictability of the action sequences for you makes you turn off, because
they feel like they don't have stakes a lot of the time.
Sure, because, like, it's expected that the good guy is going to win no matter what. So it doesn't really matter how you get from point A to point B. Point B is always going to be the good guys winning.
Yeah, if we're not in the last 15 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about that. I think that's probably most of the way of an explanation, but I just get to this. I'm just not. Yeah. What anyway? And
you just turn off. Right.
But
I actually find
this
that
film is
very
pretty light on those.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
For some reason, I don't find the spaceship fights quite as boring. I don't know what's up with that.
A lot of the fisticuffs fights are driven by emotions, I think. So
the black dude with the robot things on the side of his head.
Black dude with the robot. Korath is the character's name.
And they like fight him and a bunch of goons, and then they kill him, and then they move on. And it's like, like it doesn't have a major effect on the story in any way, and it doesn't further the themes of the film or cause any growth in the characters or anything. They just fight for 5 minutes and rip the side of this dude's head off. Like,
I mean, they did kind of have to tie off that character though, because if you
I know, but
if you just kind of left him out for then the rest of the film, then you would have had people going, well, wait, what happened to Mr. Man who got Star-Lord back at the beginning? And then you get that kind of thing where he's like, Star-Lord, and then I don't know, I thought that was neat for him to.
I think my issue is just that it's not furthering anything. It's if you wrote that character into a more background role and cut that that scene out, that scene out, you wouldn't really lose heaps. You wouldn't. I don't think you'd really lose anything. Whereas there's other things where there is things like the guy's like, that is the guy who calls him Star-Lord, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could put that somewhere else. You know, So sure. You know, anyway. And the other one was when Yondu like lands and he uses a little whistling needle thing to like kill all the guys. And I was like, yeah, that is very visually interesting. Okay, it's over.
But you don't feel like it yeah.
But a lot of the things, so I they had that the whole star chase thing, the spaceship chase thing. It furthers the characters. He self-sacrifices to save Gamora, etc., you know. So that I found that a lot more interesting. And then obviously the prison yard had a big end goal, so that was fine.
Yeah. For me, the prison yard bit was still establishing characters, which I enjoyed. Like, I completely forgot about Groot sticking his roots up the dude's nostrils gnarly. And lifting him into the air. And I was like,
oh, no.
I actually had to cover my nose because I was like, oh God. But for me, I was saying it to my partner Alia. She was on FaceTime while I was watching that bit. And I was like, wow, these guys are actually dangerous. I like that they reinforce that Groot and Rocket, again, they do have that whole guffaw and, ho ho ho.
Yeah.
But they are criminals.
Yeah.
And they are dangerous. They have killed people for less than fucking someone calling Rocket a vermin, They are dangerous characters. So I really liked how they reinforced that Groot can just fucking lift a guy from a discount background orc from Lord of the Rings up into the air through his nostrils.
Lift him up by his sinuses.
Give him severe nostril damage. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I actually did like that. I thought that was quite interesting.
Because again, as you say, that furthers the characters along. That makes you go, okay, these guys are not to fucking be trifled with. Like, you know, they can defend themselves. And Groot is fucking nigh on indestructible, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you know, he does die in the end, but it takes a bit of work.
Yeah. But even then, he's not dead. They just pick up a stick and he's back.
I think he actually before the fight seeds that little Groot. I'm pretty sure, because when they're all getting ready, he grows like a little flower out the side of his face and like plucks it.
Oh yeah.
Because I thought that was a cute little continuity bit. I enjoyed that. The film, I guess we'll talk about the music.
Yeah. Yep.
It was, I think it, I don't know. It would be nice if they used it consistently as like a, I guess leitmotif isn't the wrong word, but isn't the right word, but kind of like a callback to something like Quill's mother. But it is still definitely, you know, I don't dislike having it there. I think it's once again one of those.
Yeah, talking about the music, the Awesome Mix Volume 1. I think this movie is diegetic sound to end all diegetic sound. Do you know what diegetic sound is?
Remind me what diegetic sound is, Douglas.
Diegetic sound is when the characters can hear what the audience is hearing.
Right. Okay.
So when all of the like fucking, what is it, the first one, the one that Peter Quill is dancing around to in the opening. Is it Come and Get Your Love?
No.
Down. Down.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
That is diegetic sound because Peter Quill is listening to the song and he's dancing around to it and we're hearing the track. And pretty much all circumstances of the Awesome Mix are diegetic sound. So whenever any of those songs are playing, the characters are listening to it and reacting to it.
I made a note that it was mostly used during shots where they're flying between places, which makes sense because he has the stereo inside the ship. Inside the ship,
bingo bongo.
Yeah.
And then when it's not, it's in the Walkman. So,
okay.
I don't know. I just really enjoyed that.
That's really clever.
Yeah, I thought that was a good way, a logical way of squeezing those songs into a film like this. And I think it also kind of grounds Peter Quill as a more human character. When he's surrounded by all of these aliens and larger-than-life spaceships and characters and things like that, I think the music really kind of ties him back to, or ties the audience to go, he's just a kid.
Basically, yeah.
Like, he has no superpowers. He doesn't, well, you know, as far as we know for the majority of the first film, he has no superpowers. He has no insane upbringing or anything like that. He's basically Batman.
Yeah.
He doesn't...
Yeah, actually, he is.
His power is his technology.
Yeah.
And his ability to be a smooth talker, be an incredible negotiator, and be a leader, be able to pull people together and get everyone on the same page. The only reason that the whole Guardians of the Galaxy actually stick together for so long is because Peter Quill can manage to negotiate with all of them and go, okay, how does this meet everyone's interest? How can I make sure that everyone is happy with the deal that we're doing? And you can see that constantly throughout the film. He's like, okay, you don't like this? Shit, all right, well, money, we're getting the money. And then, you know, Drax is like, I don't need money. And then he's like, Ronan then. Like, you know, he's always trying to find that way of keeping the whole gang together, which I think is, again, another very humanistic trait to Peter Quill.
Yeah.
And you can see his ego kind of... It fluctuates throughout the film, I think. There are moments where he gets, like, super fucking egotistic.
Yeah.
And then there are moments where he simmers out a little bit more. And then I think throughout the process of the MCU, he really grows a lot as a character in terms of his ego and everything.
Oh, yeah, he has that... he grows a heap in, I think it was Endgame.
Yeah, yeah. Endgame and Infinity War, he really wises up big time, yeah. But, yeah, if I didn't love Spider-Man as much as I did, Star-Lord would be my second best.
Oh, that's cool.
Just for the level of depth that his character has and the room for growth, I think is really interesting.
Which is nice for a comedy character.
Yeah, and the idea of a kid being up in space around, all this larger-than-life stuff, and he's just he's being a kid, which I think is, I don't know, it's kind of admirable and sweet, if not childish at times. And
he's constantly making references to like things that there's no way that aliens would like understand.
Yeah, and
they're all very dated references as well.
Yeah, Earth's social cues are alien to aliens.
Yeah,
I liked that, like him doing the finger to the throat thing. Of course, that wouldn't make sense to Drax because that's presumably not a thing in space, as well as all of the metaphors, similes, things like that.
Yeah. One
that caught me was Quill calling Rocket Ranger Rick.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what that's reference to?
I don't know.
I do know.
Okay.
It was a children's nature magazine in America.
Oh.
And they had a raccoon mascot for that magazine, published by the United States National Wildlife Reserve, I believe, for years and years and years. And yeah, this magazine had Ranger Rick, who was this raccoon mascot. So
that's amazing.
I looked that up for the purpose of, because I remember him saying it when I first watched the film, and I was like, what the hell is Ranger Rick? It sounds funny, but why is it funny?
I had that thought, and then I did not follow it up.
Yeah.
I was very interested by like the use of color and the use of light and dark in there. So there's a pretty constant. You've got I don't know what that planet he's on at the start is, but that planet as well as the Dark Aster, which is Ronan's ship, are both just completely like grey and bleak, very rocky looking, very like harsh textures all through it. And then you've got Xandar, which is all kind of bright and green.
White and gold. Yeah.
White, and there's blue sky and blue sea. And then in amongst... Oh, and you've also got, there's a couple of industrial areas, and they use kind of more metallic textures and a lot of yellows for, like, safety signs and stuff like, just, like, industrial grime and stuff. So I don't know how much they were intended to be used as, like, themes there, but those were big common things. And then in amongst all of that, there was just huge amounts of really bright colors. So...
Yeah.
A lot of the ships will have little, bright electronic readouts. There'll be on the planet at the start, everything's very grey, but the sky is all like red, and I think you can see like a nebula or something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of purples and reds and stuff on the Dark Aster and things like that. So it's a lot more saturated than the last two films we've watched.
Yeah, definitely. The
big teal and orange color grading. There's a lot of that.
Yep.
Which, I think it works. I think the film is trying to make itself a lot more lighthearted and a lot more bright and interesting, so that totally pans out well.
Yeah.
It's much more visually interesting than some of the other stuff. And it's, it still uses a lot of like dull grey palettes and stuff where necessary, but it doesn't actually overuse them or anything, which was really, really
liked
nice.
The rustic colours of Nowhere. I really liked.
Oh God, I love that.
The general aesthetic of Nowhere was very interesting.
Oh, that location is so good.
It's kind of like the Tortuga of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is, I don't know, that's a neat idea to me.
It's just this giant head that they're like mining for like brain matter and spinal fluid. How fucking cool is that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I really love that.
Sci-fi as fuck.
Oh!
Definitely the sort of shit you'd find in like a $2 sci-fi novel at
exactly.
old bookstore somewhere.
The old space prism is really cool as like a location. It's like floating in an asteroid field. The Dark Aster ship, I like that design a lot. It's kind of... What's the that big boxy ship in A Hitchhiker's Guide?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the boring race of aliens that I forget the name of. They all have these big like rectangular prism ships.
Yeah.
Or
I need to watch that movie again.
That movie. Yeah, okay, that should go on the bonus list as well.
We got it. Yeah,
that's a very mixed one, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm in that movie for Martin Freeman purely.
I honestly like so much of it. And anyway, I don't want to get in too deep on that one.
Yeah, stay tuned to that one for...
I guess it's gone on the list.
A later time, yeah.
There's some interesting stuff with camera work. There's obviously loads of like big, like extra wide shots because you've got all these like colossal things going on.
Yeah.
You've got this giant, the head of this giant celestial body. The Dark Aster ship is like shit. I don't even know like how you would convey the size of that in like comparison to like everyday objects. It's supposed to be massive. It's like Star Destroyer type size. There's also a lot of like fun stuff. I think so. Whenever Rocket brings up his gun and it starts to like
wind up,
it like telescopes out, and I think there's like a bit of a dolly zoom or a bit of a change in focus, so which really like accentuates how it's basically like cartoony how ridiculous these guns constantly are.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really fun. The cinematography otherwise was pretty standard Marvel. I guess the extreme wide shots are pretty standard Marvel as well.
Yeah.
Kind of standard family action film type stuff. But I did find that like a cute little note. They were really like Rocket is like such a larger than life character. It ties back into everything about him.
And I do like that Rocket isn't just the comic relief. Like they do give him, as I've said before, they give him that level of depth of him being this lab rat, basically. That gives you a little bit more of an emotional connotation to bond with him, rather than like, ha ha, Rocket, funny raccoon said a funny thing. Ha ha ha. You actually do get that, I actually kind of feel for you and I don't want anything to happen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's nice.
He's a pretty deep character. Once again, they all are. They're all very impressively written characters, which I like a lot. There was a potential to basically just do another fucking, a Suicide Squad before it happened, where the characters are just like there.
Yeah.
One character's superpower is that he gets his head blown up.
Yeah.
This is everyone has a very specific role to play, and both like kind of action wise, but are also their own very unique character, which ties up pretty well with the whole thing. Yep.
There's some moments that this movie is very. I just found myself just writing down moments where I'm like, fuck, that's so good. That bit's good. So I just kind of want to just list these ad lib just so I can get them out of the way.
I have a note which says stop writing down one-liners. So I'm just going to let you do that because I actually stopped there.
And then you can chime in and say whether you got them too.
Yeah.
The musical timing of Quill whacking the dude listening to the music. The prison guard who's listening to the music, and he fucking whacks him like right on cue with like a snare drum or something in the music, and then it cuts.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. The blacklight bit, the bit where he's like, she has no idea. If you brought blacklight in this place, it looked like a Jackson Pollock painting.
That's right. Yeah, that's another one of those like callbacks that wouldn't make sense to an alien.
That was ad-libs, by the way, by Chris Pratt. That was an ad-lib line.
That's a very Chris Pratt line.
Absolutely. Yondu doing his blah 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 blah. The buyers that try to talk him over him.
Stupid.
Blah, 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 blah. And then the guy behind him doing like that little snicker, and then it jump cuts back to that shoulder shot. I don't know. That was really funny.
I really liked when when Rocket is like talking about the things that he needs for the escape. You can hear him when he says, I need that prosthetic leg. He's like containing a laugh, which is only something you would get the second time you watch it. It's hilarious.
Oh, God. The bit with Rocket and Groot lighting up the prison. So Rocket doing the say hello to my little friend, like blasting the prison up, and like they're both yelling. And then that smash cut to Quill with the dude with the prosthetic and the guy going,
holy shit.
You want my what? Just Benicio fucking del Toro.
Yes.
I mean, he's like Liberace in space. What more can you fucking say? He's amazing. Fucking Footloose. What? Whose idea was it to have Peter Quill talk about fucking Footloose? She's like, I'm a warrior and an assassin, and I don't dance. And then he's like, well, we have a legend about dances on Earth. A brave man by the name of Kevin Bacon.
Because it's a tieback. It happens. I think when they crash their ship into the Dark Aster, she's like, it's just like Footloose.
Yeah. And that bit, Drax just loving danger. Whenever he's in danger, he's like laughing his ass off.
Yeah.
The best. Just so funny because you get the rest of the shots of everyone like freaking the fuck out, and then you just get Drax in the back like, "Wah, yeah, woo!" So good.
I just loved Peter Serafinowicz. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Bloody Shaun of the Dead, good guy.
I forgot. I completely forgot he was in this film.
Like, what a bunch of a-holes when they're like getting their photo taken at the lineup.
Yeah, the mugshot. Yeah. In the mugshot bit, I paused on Peter Quill's one to look at the criminal records, and one of the charges is one count of illegal manipulation of a Gramoscian duchess. And like the rest of them are also normal. It's like one count of fraud, one count of assault, like 13 counts of public intoxication or something like that. And then you just get that illegal manipulation of Gramoscian duchess. And I'm like, what the hell is illegal manipulation?
Oh, you know what it is.
Yeah. Fucking, what else have I got here? I liked To Give a Shit. I thought that was a really powerful moment in that
cute.
When they're all, talking about the Peter Quill is trying to rally everyone and get everyone together again. And he says, we actually have a chance here. And Drax says, to what? And then Peter Quill says, to give a shit. I was like, oh, yes.
Whoa.
Nice. Raw. Very good.
This is such a like dumb fucking thing to notice, but John C. Reilly's character, he is Corpsman Day, and then he gets promoted at the end of the film to like, it's like Denurian or something, like the weird fucking bizarre. It's probably a real military rank, but he gets promoted. Which is just like such a weird thing to bring up, but I was like, oh, okay.
All right, you got promoted for doing basically jack shit, but
there's that one scene in the prison where they basically cover Chris Pratt in like tanning oil.
Yeah,
and he's just like there's steam coming off of him, and he's like ripped, and I was just like, I mean, yeah, give the people what they want, I guess.
Yeah.
This is a fucking bizarre choice, but okay.
Speaking of Chris Pratt's form, he was, prior to being cast as Peter Quill, he was putting on weight for another role. I think it was The Daily Man. I'm pretty sure there was some role in... Anyway, some role in another film that he was putting on weight for.
He goes back and forth a lot because he was in Parks and Recreation as well, and he plays like a lazy fat shit in that as well.
When he got cast as Peter Quill, he said to James Gunn, give me 6 months and I can lose 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And he ended up losing 60 pounds in the span of 6 months. So he shaved 27 kilos.
That's such an actor move, though. I think there's like a lot of actors who just like their fucking weight just like, and their like muscle mass just
like crazy.
Fucking seesaws. I mixed up zigzag and seesaw.
Yeah.
That's a bit of an interesting one.
Yeah.
Zigzaw.
That could be the villain of a space novella, sci-fi novella.
Space body horror film.
What? Space body horror?
Like Jigsaw.
Jigsaw in space. Why hasn't anyone done that yet? Well, I guess Alien.
Because there was, I gather, one good Jigsaw movie.
Well, yeah, the first one, the rest of them was shit.
We don't need to push that any further.
Yeah, fucking Rocket getting head scratches. That got me.
Oh yeah.
Tim, crying over Groot's stick, and then Drax sitting down, and just Rocket's reaction, like I highly doubt anyone has ever scratched his head before. He wouldn't have let anyone scratch his head. And he's like kind of shock and like, what is this? And then the relaxation of like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of nice. Just, it's really sweet. And he, like, his tail like relaxes and everything.
Wow.
I don't know. That was really nice. They do jam a lot into the end though. Like the denouement is like really like, okay, so just letting you know there's a volume 2 that's coming, Quill's dad. Also letting you know Drax isn't done because Thanos is around the corner. And the Infinity Stone is being locked away, but not really. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff that they had to squeeze into that denouement, and it shows.
It's I that's like the most egregious part of the film is where they're just like, now we have to tie it back to the other ones to keep some relevance. I was like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Give me my standalone film.
Yeah, I'm getting the sense that you don't care for the MCU as an overall product.
I think it's interesting, but it's definitely
It's a very interesting thing for film.
It just went so long.
Yeah, okay.
It just tired me, and I was like, you
got sick of hearing about it.
Yeah.
So by the time Endgame came around, you were like, thank fuck.
They were lucky that Endgame and Infinity War was so good.
Flop.
Because that really bolstered up. I was very uninterested.
There's like nearly a decade and a half of build-up
pretty gnarly.
Purely for those two films, which we'll get to that later on in the 250.
It would be interesting if someone did like a cut of they basically just like trimmed down a bunch of these films so that it was just stuff that was kind of pertinent to like watching them all
the solo
in
film.
Yeah, I feel like you could like cut down Thor 2 so it's a bit less fucking stupid. You probably, unfortunately, would be able to completely get rid of Thor Ragnarok because I don't think that has that much play into the later films, but stuff like that. Get rid of Iron Man 2. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, good old Iron Man 2.
Probably get rid of Iron Man 3 as well.
The middle child.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a cracker of a film.
Yikes. That was a boring film. Jesus Christ.
God.
Yeah, I was quite had enough. Sorry.
Have you got anything else for GOG?
Not really. Do you have any trivia?
I do. I have some very interesting trivial bits that I found in a little bit of digging around. An interesting thing that I found with the writing process, obviously it was written by, as we stated at the beginning of the podcast, written by James Gunn and Nicole Perlman. Nicole Perlman was the original writer of the screenplay, and because she was enrolled in Marvel's screenwriting program in 2009, and they were basically the people who were a part of the program were offered to just research any of Marvel's franchises, so like whatever they had within their comic book range, and just try and write a screenplay, see what you could whip out of it. And Nicole Perlman chose Guardians of the Galaxy due to her interest in space and science fiction. And she just thought it would be a little more different than what everyone else was kind of bringing to the table.
Which it totally is.
Absolutely.
That's what makes it so special, is it's completely fucking different film to the ones that were coming around at that time.
Yeah, and it's very refreshing.
I should look it up in like its order in the MCU.
Perlman spent 2 years writing a draft, and she completely immersed herself in the Guardians universe. So she read up on all the comics, she understood all of the characters inside and out, and then in late 2011, she was asked to create another draft, and then Gunn was brought in early 2012 to contribute to the script, but then Gunn eventually ended up rewriting the script entirely, stating it didn't work for him. And he said that he used the film The Dirty Dozen as a reference to convey the ideas and themes to Marvel. So what he wanted to bring out of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Gunn later explained that Perlman's draft was very different from the script he used during filming, including different story, character arcs, and no Walkman. So Gunn was the one who brought in the idea of the awesome mix and all of that jazz.
Okay.
He stated in Nicole's script, everything is pretty different. It's not about the same stuff, but that's how the WGA works, which is the Writers Guild Academy. They like first writers an awful lot, he said. So,
right.
In August 2012, Marvel Studios hired writer Chris McCoy to rewrite Perlman's script as well. However, it is unclear what contribution he had to the final script since he didn't receive any production credit.
Right.
So, I don't know. That's a little bit sketch.
Logically
but
pretty minor.
Yeah,
so I just looked this up in terms of the cinematic universe. It's a Phase 2 film.
Correct.
And it shares that phase with Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World. Okay, The Winter Soldier was alright. Actually, no, The Winter Soldier was pretty good.
Yeah, I like Winter Soldier.
Age of Ultron.
Ugh.
And Ant-Man, which I gather was fine.
Would have been better with fucking Stephen Wright, though. Just saying.
It's a shining light in amongst just some pretty fucking lackluster
average films. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely no wonder that it took off as well as it did, I think.
It was that's what makes it so different to the shit that was happening at the same time, because what was happening was a bunch of shit films.
Yeah.
And Winter Soldier.
Yeah, which is I like Winter Soldier. I think
Winter Soldier was like actually quite cool because it takes
good character.
It takes a completely different approach again.
Yeah, that's a little more real world, I think.
It's like it's more thrillery actually.
Yeah, more thriller than action, definitely. I think. Anyway, Gunn found trouble introducing Thanos. He found just character introductions as a whole to be really hard to nail.
Right.
But Thanos, as I stated, it was more he said it was more helpful to MCU than it was to the actual film. But he still wanted Thanos in the film without actually belittling Ronan.
Right, okay.
So to solve that little problem, Gunn had Ronan kill the other, which was Thanos' vizier, because he said, quote, "I thought that was interesting because we've had the other, who's obviously very powerful, even in comparison to Loki, and then we see Ronan wipe his ass with him. So that I liked, but even that was sort of difficult because it played as funnier when I first wrote it, and the humor didn't work so much." But yeah, in the scene that ends up in the film, I think that's very well deserved. You know, you got Thanos' back to Ronan, and the other is just gibbering and jabbering on, and then Ronan just fucking snaps his neck like
just snaps his neck.
Yeah, like a twig, and then that grabs Thanos' attention. What else have I got in the way of trivia? There's a interesting consideration for some of the actors in this film, particularly the male cast. In November of 2012, Joel Edgerton, Jack Huston, Jim Sturgis, and Eddie Redmayne signed deals to test for the role of Peter Quill.
Wow.
As did Lee Pace, who ends up playing Ronan. And other actors considered for a role were Zachary Levi, who was in Thor: The Dark World, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Michael Rosenbaum, and John Gallagher Jr.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah. And then Chris Pratt landed the role in February of 2013, a part of the multi-film deal, which kind of, at the moment, if you're a lead in a Marvel film, it's kind of, you're blocking away about 5 years of your life.
But it is a bunch of mansions you get at the back end of that.
That's true, yeah.
That's pretty sick.
That sweet paycheck at the end is nothing to bat an eyelid about. It was also disclosed that filmmakers were looking at actors including Hugh Laurie, Alan Rickman, and Ken Watanabe for the film.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
For the film.
For the film.
Not as Peter Quill though.
No. Just as characters.
That would be
a
weird
one.
Can you imagine? No, because that's crazy.
Relax.
I actually I did a bit of Googling around. There's the scene on Nowhere where Groot gives the little girl a flower.
Yep.
That is supposed to be a reference to the Frankenstein film from the 30s.
Oh, wow.
goes a lot differently because in the Frankenstein film, I think he gives her a flower or she gives him a flower, and they start throwing flowers into a lake. And then Frankenstein decides to throw the girl in a lake and she drowns. So that is a very different outcome. Yeah, I mean, it's a wild movie, Frankenstein.
Wow,
I gather. Gamora's backstory, or at least the way that she was presented by Zoe Saldana, was based off of a piece of media. I actually didn't look it up. Or maybe just the concept of the Lost Boys of Sudan, which were a similar kind of backstory. These boys who were basically taken from their families as their like village was just slaughtered, which is really horrible.
Yeah.
But an interesting kind of inspiration for a character, and she does really pull that off.
Absolutely.
I think she's got such like a cool arc with that.
Yeah, her whole relationship with Thanos and
over the whole MCU is very, very cool.
Very believable.
And then she gets fucking killed at the end because I actually am like super unpleased about that. I didn't really like that. It made sense for Thanos, but I was like, oh, okay, great, just fucking
good
kill
work
it.
on spoiling Endgame. You might want to cut that.
We just spoiled. This is the podcast of spoiling other films.
Yeah.
So we spoiled the last Star Wars and the other one. So
cool.
just keep that.
I mean,
fucking
true.
train
I guess.
going.
Yeah. Some other tidbits on the Awesome Mix Volume 1, which was the album that was released, which mirrors Quill's mixtape.
Yep.
It by August of 2014. It topped the Billboard 200 chart.
Wow.
So number 1.
It topped it.
Yes.
No, that's crazy.
It was the first soundtrack album in history consisting entirely of previously released songs.
I was going to
top the
say,
chart. Hollywood Records also released a cassette version of the soundtrack on November 28th of 2014.
That's so cool.
As an exclusive to Record Store Day participants. And the cassette, which is the first cassette Disney Music Group has released since 2003, also comes with a digital download version of the album.
For all those people that were thinking of buying it.
Fuckheads that
get that digital.
Buy it so you can be cool and vintage to your fucking friends and still want to listen to the thing anyway.
Yeah, fuckers.
Yeah, because you don't have a Walkman. Interesting bit about the budget. In January 2015, Disney revealed that the film came in, quote, slightly over the agreed budget at $232.3 million, with Disney receiving a rebate of $36.4 million from the British government.
Oh, okay.
It was previously estimated to have a $170 million budget, so they went $60 million over budget.
Was it filmed in... filming continuing in London.
Yep.
Filmed at Shepperton Studios. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a sound floor is a sound floor, so
yeah,
do it wherever
where you want. They can all get together, I guess.
Whatever fucking local government will pay you, just go for it, man.
Go for it. I wanted to give shout out to. I love whenever physical effects and special makeup effects and things like that get used in films. I really love praising that because I really like that in a film. I think the reliance on CGI is a little alarming sometimes, and
we're getting better. We're getting better.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I like praising when practical effects and makeup effects are used because I just think it's great. Zoe Saldana was the instigator for having Gamora in makeup and physical effects. They initially wanted to have her CGI'd, but then Zoe Saldana argued the idea of her having physical and practical makeup, which big thumbs up, definitely worked out, in my opinion. The special effects makeup designer David White took head and body casts of all the actors, such as David Bautista, to experiment with materials used to create the characters. White said, quote, James always pushed for practical and makeup effects. He wanted, like me, to see the real deal there on set, which I think I can agree with. As a performer and an actor, I feel much better in the clobber that the character is in whenever I'm performing.
Right.
I struggle to rehearse when we're getting close to the performance date, or if we're rehearsing on set or something like that, I feel much better wearing what the character would wear. Because I feel more, I don't know, just grounded in the character, and then it helps for the director and everyone else to kind of just see the bigger picture, I think. And all the other actors on set as well. It kind of just, it gets everyone more in the mood, I reckon.
So did they use practical effects for Rocket then? Was it just a raccoon running around?
I swear to God, I'm going to stab you in the fucking nuts, Jonathan.
That would be great. That would be hilarious. They got like the behind the scenes, and instead of being like a walking raccoon, it's the raccoon just hanging out.
God. They did they modelled Rocket on a real raccoon for the CGI.
Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, they use mocap.
He was
and stuff,
called Oreo. The raccoon was called Oreo.
Aww.
Cute little button.
Aww.
Back on makeup, David Wyatt was careful not to use, quote, modern creature designs to ensure that they did not fall short in Gunn's uniquely envisioned world. Wyatt and his team created upwards of 1,000 prosthetic makeup applications.
Wow.
And 2,000 molds of different coloured aliens.
Jeez.
So that's some fucking Lord of the Rings level shit.
Yeah, that's some serious business.
Prosthetics. So, oh God, I can't wait to watch Lord of the Rings and gawk over all those fucking practical
that's
effects.
just like...
They are just,
I gotta watch that like 14 hours of behind the scenes that get fucking brought out with each of the DVDs again.
Yes, please. I love that shit. Just injected into my veins.
Directly. I'm a junkie, baby. Give me
more.
Give me those DVD extras.
Give me that Peter Jackson.
Or Jacko.
Old Jackie boy. That's all I had for trivia. So
we should watch The Hobbit as like a anti.
Do we have
anti 250?
Do we have to?
We should watch the Nega 250 after we finish this series. And we just go from films that are bad to worse.
Yeah. Yeah. There's an idea. Jot that down on the blackboard.
No, actually, I'm not going to.
No?
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Well,
don't take it personally.
That idea lived as quickly as it died.
Is it because it's terrible?
Yeah, just like the
Spoiler
films.
alert, yes.
But yeah, that's about all I had. Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm super happy.
Obviously.
I think I'm...
No,
go for it.
Oh, fuck. No, you, I insist.
No. I think our next film is a bit more fucking depressing. I can't entirely remember.
What the next film is?
It's the Algier one, isn't it?
I believe it is. Yes, Battle of Algiers, 1966. Yeah.
Should be fun.
It's a drama, so strap in for that one next week. Is that a foreign film? Subtitles?
I don't know.
I'm about 80% sure it is.
80.
Yeah, apparently that's an intense one. So we'll have a fun talk next week.
Okie dokie.
But yeah, thank you for tuning into the 250. And we look forward to seeing you real soon.
Bloody hit your desk.
Everyone hit your desk. If you're sitting at the desk, hit it.
Hit the desk. Hit the poop deck.
Hit the what?
See you later. See you, kids.
Real strong ending there.
Real strong ending.